Uh, I'm on a little bit of a roll, so I'm going to keep rolling. And I'll beg your indulgence for rolling on and on and on and on and on. Okay. We're talking about the goal of the command that Paul had given Timothy back in, well, we're still in 1 Timothy chapter 1, begins in verse 3. And essentially, it's a command for certain people to quit teaching false doctrine, to quit focusing on myths and endless genealogies, because the main point is not myths and endless genealogies. The main point is not status and weird ideas. The main point is partnering with God in his work. That's what he says. These things promote controversial speculations rather than advancing God's work, which is by faith. And then he says the goal of this command is love. And then he tells us where this love comes from. It comes from a pure heart and a good conscience and a sincere faith. We've talked about pure heart, good conscience. Now let's talk about sincere faith. There's an interesting thing about sincerity. To me, it's interesting, is that sincerity does not always equal reliability. That's not a good way to say it. There's got to be a better way. Sincerity does not trump what is true. Here's the thing. There are a lot of people, you know them, you may even feel like you are one sometimes. I sometimes feel this. I sincerely believe some things, but the things I believe are not really the truth. So, sincerity does not equal authenticity and reliability. Because it comes down to, what is my faith in? Boy. Faith. Well, faith is perhaps the biggest subject in the entire 66 books of the Bible. Faith. What is faith? Hebrews 11:1. Faith is the evidence of things not seen, the substance of things hoped for. Faith. My own paraphrase is, faith is believing in things for which my senses cannot verify it. I mean, there are things that my senses can't verify, or can't reliably verify, or that the only verification of it will come far, far down the trail. I mean, okay. I believe that God created the heavens and the earth in 7 days, and I am good with the idea of a day-age theory that says, okay, the 7 days, that could have been 7 specific ages, and these ages could have been millennia or millions of years each. I don't care. Or they could be what we perceive as 24-hour days. There's problems with that theory, but if that's your feeling, I don't even care. But here's the thing. Whatever you believe about creation, and there are people that believe creation happened as a result of God utilizing evolution. Whatever you believe about creation, it's a faith. This is a belief that cannot be verified. And here's why. Because it is impossible to travel back and see it happen. That's the only way you could truly verify it. No scientist could ever replicate the beginning of everything. And so they look at pieces of evidence that they can see for it, and they put together a puzzle that gives them a sense of how did this happen. Well, you can't verify it. That's still a faith thing, right? Am I saying what you have faith in doesn't really matter? That's not at all what I'm saying. What I'm saying is faith, our faith is not just this fuzzy, ethereal, I guess I just believe. No. Remember in the book of Jude? Jude said his first intention was to talk about the faith once for all delivered to the saints. In other words, this body of faith, the stuff that we found our faith on. So there is that. It's not this fuzzy, ethereal, well, I just feel, I just believe. I think it was Kierkegaard who said, there is a leap of faith, and every man, every woman has to choose whether or not to take the leap of faith. I won't dispute that. For some people, it's a step. For others, it's a leap. I get it, I think. I was raised in a home where I don't remember a time when we didn't talk about God, when God was not the ultimate authority in life. And boy, we were not a perfect family. My parents weren't perfect. My home was just as screwed up as probably anybody's, although maybe not as screwed up as some, but that didn't have anything to do with how good I was. I don't remember a time when believing in God was a leap. For me, it's been about steps of faith. Now, I have friends who did not grow up where God was at the center of reality. And for them, making God the center of their reality was a leap of faith. I don't know where your background sets you in this whole thing. I do know this, that when we draw near to God, whether by step or by leap, we draw near to him by faith. And Paul's writing about sincere faith, authentic faith. It would be very difficult, I think it's impossible to separate a clear conscience, a pure heart, and sincere faith. They all go together. You see, I don't think you can have a pure heart and a clear conscience without sincere faith. And I think wherever sincere faith is in evidence and at work, you will experience a clean conscience and a pure heart. You can't. They are all intertwined. They're all interconnected. Sincere faith. I worked with kids for, well, all my ministry career, but I was a youth minister for 17 and a half years. And that half year matters. And in that period of time, I saw both sincere faith and insincere faith. Little kids. I used to get to do a thing we used to call junior church, and in some places they still do it. But in a lot of places now, it's children's programming. I don't care what you call it. Kids need to be taught about Jesus and about the Bible. And the best stories I've ever told the kids come out of the Bible anyway. So there were things about it that were challenging, but one of the things I loved about working with these little kids, grade school kids, was the sincerity of their faith. You know, little kids don't need a lot of scientific evidence about the miracles and who God is and how he did stuff, that doesn't get in their way. They have this innocent sincerity about their belief in God. Now, part of that is they have an immature view of God. And there are times when immaturity produces sincerity, but an uneducated sincerity, okay? You can be sincere about the wrong things. You can be wrong and sincerely wrong. The sincerity doesn't make it right or wrong. But in terms of faith, authentic faith, well, Hebrews again said, without faith, it is impossible to please God. So if you want to please God, it's got to be about faith. And sincere faith is our journey. Okay, here's how I'm looking at this sincere faith thing. Whatever else we could go deeply and go 100 directions with examples of faith, and the father of faith is Abraham, and talk about his story and his life and his deeds and misdeeds. We could talk about the deep word studies of pistos, the whole epistemological. Well, here's the deal. The goal for every follower of Jesus is to achieve and maintain a sincere faith. How do you achieve that? Well, you don't earn sincere faith. And there's effort involved. Remember last time we talked about from James, faith without works is dead. And so, yeah, there's this aspect of effort, but effort doesn't achieve faith. Effort is a result of faith. Okay. Our goal is to grow in our faith so that the expressions of our life will reflect this growing faith. And an aspect of our faith is that it will grow more and more sincere. The purity of heart thing and sincere faith, holy smokes, they're joined at the hip. Sincere faith, anything that is sincere has pure motive. Well, that's this kind of faith that is growing to be more and more sincere. That's our objective. How do you get there? I don't like how I think we get there. And here's why. This is what my life is showing me and has shown me virtually all my life. My faith is deepened less through intellectual understanding and more through the experience of trials in life. Oh my goodness. The apostles came to Jesus and said, increase our faith, because they realized faith was a deal. And you know what Jesus said? Hey, here's the deal. If you have faith the size of a mustard seed, that's tiny. That's just a speck. It's very similar to a grain of sand. It's very tiny. If you have faith the size of a mustard seed, you can say to that mountain, go jump in the sea, and it will. So it is not about volume of faith. No, I think it's mainly about the purity of our faith, the sincerity of our faith. How do you make your faith more sincere? Try harder to be more sincere. That's never worked very well for me. If it works for you, good on you. But it comes down to this for me. I partner with Christ. I cry out to him, oh God, develop in me, grow in me sincere faith. I don't even know how you will do that, although I sense that it will be through the experience of trials and learning your reliability through them. Pure heart, a clear conscience, sincere faith. Biggies. Well, we'll pick it up again next time on Soul Care with Stevie Boy.